Welcome to the Reality Check, your Halloween edition 2018. Let's get this show started. Call me the Willy Wonka of the modern ages. Don't call me the Willy Wonka of the modern ages. No, strike that, reverse it. Off with the hat, and on to the show. Big news of the day, big news of the week. There's big news all the time. And I'm here to talk about it all. Now, as Bill Engvall said, stupid people should have to wear a sign that just says, I'm stupid. That way you wouldn't have to rely on them, would you? You wouldn't ask them for anything. It'd be like, excuse me, oops, never mind, didn't see your sign. And that's what we have here today. We have a world where it's just people needing signs. A world of stupidity. You have people, do you know anybody who needs a sign today? And the answer would be yes. And one of the leaders of the sign needing group would be good old Don Lemon. Don Lemon said, white guys are the biggest threat in this country. Why is there no white guy ban? That's what we need to talk about. Well, Lemonhead, your hatred for the common man and women, the decent men and women who work, your hatred for the white man, your hatred for anybody who doesn't agree with what you say, not only shows, Lemonhead, that you don't really have any good opinion on anything because you can't back it up with facts or reality. And that's why you're angry when people don't agree with you, and they must be the problem. But besides that, Lemonhead, you see, we've heard your constant egging on, and you bear some of the responsibilities for the tax. And if you want to look at it down the line, and we can go through it from time to time in the show today, is the numbers don't add up. You're going to say the white guy needs to be banned. You're going to say the right wing needs to be banned. If you look at the violence, it's overwhelmingly coming from one side. Now, yes, there are the mentally impaired people on both sides, but then there's also a lot more people inciting violence, like the Maxine Waters, or just in general, a lot of the media. And that's the difference we have today. The media is constantly inciting violence. It's been a good 12 years where they're constantly, every day, with their hate and vitriol. Even when they had their man in the White House, Barack Obama, they still incited the violence, the media. On and on and on. It's just constant. It's constant. And now we'll go on to the big shooting. Obviously, we know sad event happened. Guy comes and shoots up in a synagogue. We all know the details. It's been covered. Obviously many victims. It's sad time. And to try to blame Trump, instead of somebody who was mentally ill. But the one thing is the hate on Jews. It's a different animal than a lot. People don't understand. People say hate on blacks. And of course, it's a horrible thing. But there's a few big differences. Like one, a lot of the time, when people hate blacks, they don't say a word to them. They don't have enough guts to make it known what it is. So they know you're black, they won't say anything. They shut their pie hole. And then when they're with their buddies at their local KKK meeting, or, they're on the internet, then they'll all of a sudden spew their racist hate. Maybe they look at you, give you a sneer. That's one thing. But you don't know how it is, how deep it is, or how true it is with some. And then also you have, if you're in a big crowd of people and you're spewing racist stuff, like I said, if you're not at your local KKK meeting, most people will look at you and say, that's inappropriate, and tell you, no, it's wrong, or I don't agree with that, or what are you talking about? Stop being a jerk. That's what'll happen. But when you're a Jew, sometimes people don't know. And they'll do the little Heil Hitler and Nazi things. You know, and that was, obviously, we know how many Jews died in the Holocaust. You'll have them deny Holocaust. You have your Holocaust deniers. Famous people, some of them. Ran countries, some of them. Still denying the Holocaust happened. And then you have your people spewing about Jews are this, Jews are trash. You know, Jews should be put in ovens. And they don't even know you're Jewish. They're saying that you hear the deep insides of their hate right to your face. So you have that a little different. And then you also have the condoning of it all. If you get up in a room and say, Jews this, Jews that, people laugh, people think it's funny. Oh, they're so cheap. Oh, they're control of everything. They're the one that's messing up the news. People think that's funny. In general, you'll get a group. Every once in a while, of course, you'll get someone who disagrees. But you look at social media. If you say racist stuff, they usually take you down. If you say anti-Semite stuff, they don't take you down. They don't. Look around. As a matter of fact, you could be a politician and hang out with an anti-Semite. It's no big deal. I mean, heck, Keith Ellison has been a successful politician. He's an anti-Semite through and through. Barack Obama hung out with multiple anti-Semites. Look at the church he went to. Nobody distanced himself from it. Look at Farrakhan. How many anti-Semite... The guy doesn't even hide that he's an anti-Semite. Oh, he won't say he's an anti-Semite. He'll say he's an exterminator. He's exterminating termites. Recently just said, nobody seems to care. He says he uncovers the Jews for what they are. Slimy little this and that. He said Jews need to die. He said, they call me Hitler. And that's good because Hitler was a good guy. Clearly said that. No video editing. No debate. The guy will even tell you he said it. And yet, he's not barred from anywhere. Who's more of a conspiracy theorist? Alex Jones or Farrakhan? Who's called for violence more? Alex Jones or Farrakhan? Who's banned in Britain? Michael Savage or Farrakhan? You know, the answers to all those questions are the wrong ones. Savage is the one banned in Britain, not Farrakhan, who preaches hate. Alex Jones is the one who's blocked from multiple social media. When Alex Jones is just the story guy, pretty much. An entertainer as much as a news guy, even more. He's no different than the filmongers you see on TV, the Joe Scarboroughs, the Whoopi Goldbergs, you know, the Wolf Spritzers that preach hate all day. But Farrakhan is a step above all of them, and he's free to roam and go wherever he likes. He's not paying the price for anything. What about Al Sharpton? How many of our politicians hung around with that guy? He's an anti-Semite through and through, right? He got Jews killed in Freddy's Fashion Mart. Look it up if you don't believe me. A huge anti-Semite. And what's been done about it? Well, he's made millions of dollars and lived a successful life. He's gotten a TV show that has no ratings, and yet it's continued, and on and on and on. His show's continued, with no ratings, not making any money, and being an anti-Semite. Any excuse could be made to take off that show. It's not popular, it doesn't make money, he's not very good at it, he stutters, preaches hate. Nope, he's still got a show. What else could it be but he's an anti-Semite and people like that? You know, and people say, oh, you're saying the poor Jews, so you're victimizing, and that's why we dislike the Jews. Oh, I'm not saying the poor Jew. Trust me. I distance myself from a lot of Jews because they're just not very intelligent on a level of self-preservation. There are a lot of great Jewish businessmen There are a lot of great Jewish doctors. They lead the field in medical, and in many aspects, they're more successful than I could ever hope to be. But as far as self-preservation, the Jew is very unintelligent. And we know what happened with the Holocaust. We'd never seen anything like that before. But that was your lesson. That was why a bunch of Jews grabbed arms, and they fight for Israel tooth and nail to not let that happen again. And that's one set of Jews. But you have another set of Jews here who constantly vote for their demise. They vote for anti-Semites before they vote for leaders that are Jewish friendly. Constantly voting in anti-Semites who don't even believe in God, rather than voting people who would recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Constantly insulting the President of the United States. To what? Stick up for people that are anti-Semites? Some of these people haven't learned. So yes, they are part of the problem. But in general, you see the difference. Whereas we've gotten better with racism. The country's come a long way. And although Obama tried to stoke the flames and make it still hateful and a racist nation, most people have shrugged that off and continue to treat people as human beings and not by race, color, But yet, you still have anti-Semitism preached and condoned throughout the world. And here in America, you have people that not only stick by it and support it, but encourage it. So that's the big difference. Neither one is right. Being a racist isn't right. Being an anti-Semite isn't right. But it is your choice if that's what you want to do with your life. But don't say it's the same. Like I said, one is condoned on a full level still to this day. And that's the opening monologue on that. Now we can go to lots of news, lots of stories. We can go to the late night jokes where Pelosi thinks that she'll be back in charge soon. I don't see it. Unless there's voter fraud, I don't see any way that the House or the Senate are turning. I'm sorry. I think people see through most of this stuff. They know. First of all, there's no policies. Okay, let's say you think Trump sucks and everything he's doing is wrong. He sucks. He's stupid. Okay, what is your policies, How are you going to fix things? I mean, think about it. You're hiring a mechanic, and he comes in, you bring him your car, it's broken. He said, yeah, I took it down the block, and they couldn't fix it. Well, that guy didn't know what he's doing. He has no clue. He doesn't know what he's doing. He wouldn't know how to open up a carburetor. Matter of fact, he wouldn't even know what a carburetor is. He's dumb, and he charges too much. I'll charge you half the price. Great. Okay, so what are you going to do to try to fix my car? I don't know. Well, are you going to open up the carburetor? I don't know. Where's the carburetor? Wait, does your car have a carburetor? Is this? That's what you have here. You have people that have no ideas. And again, that's why they're so hateful when you don't agree with them. Because they have no ideas. If you have ideas, you actually usually preach them and try to put facts to back up and have fun debating people. When you have ideas that are solid, you love to debate people. Maybe you don't change your mind, but when you're talking about it, it reinforces your ideas. And that, my friends, there aren't many with the Dems. It's really dim for the Dems. And yeah, races are races. They're all localized. So, yes, you will have people win on that, but, So, Halloween today. Let's make sure our little ones are safe. Make sure they're looking in the street. We know. They had this dumb report saying that it's more likely kids get hit by a car today. I mean, do we need research for that? Of course. running around. Sometimes it's forced. We know it's more likely. But let's do our best to, keep that under control. Make sure, your kids are safe. Not only what's the candy they're going to ingest, but the places they're going to go, the friends they're going to be with, and in the streets. It's a holiday. Let's keep it fun. And Halloween is, it's amazing for Halloween. And it's one day, so it's not something that goes on and on the other holidays. It's one day where you're just doing it for kids. The one thing we all have in common is at one point. And if you got Halloween candy, then you think you want to give out Halloween candy to other kids. Because you got some, you benefited, so why not return the favor? And if you didn't get Halloween candy when you were a kid because your parent was too cheap to buy you a costume or whatever the reason was, they didn't believe in Halloween, you would think, wow, that's something I missed out on, and I want my kids and other kids to never miss out on that. Halloween's about fun. Kids have a great time. They get to dress up and be somebody else. As adults, we get to go out to the club. You get to dress up and almost pretend you're somebody else. You're a fashionista or whatever. Hey, I look good tonight for once. That's what I think when I was going to the club. Hey, I look good tonight for once. Normally I don't. I have enough time. I don't, you're at work. You're angry-faced. Nick, this is Kids' Day. They get to go to Halloween. They get to dress up and other things. They get to be someone they admire or watch on TV. That's exciting for them. Then they get candy. Kids love candy. You get to see your friends. You get to see other people's costumes. So you're already thinking, wow, I could be that next year. Wow, that's cool. Why didn't I think of that? Or that's awesome. Or, that's Halloween. Halloween is giving. Halloween is giving, making the children happy. Something for them for once, where they get their day. Their day that doesn't have to be taken over by adults. Just a day for kids. It's great. It's fun. I wish everyone participated. So, now that the Halloween PSA was done, stories on the news that you probably won't hear much about, right? In Birmingham, Alabama, a father shot and killed a masked gunman who opened fire inside a McDonald's. The shooting happened late Saturday night. The business was getting ready to close. This masked guy enters the restaurant, McDonald's. I like how I say restaurant. It's McDonald's. Yeah. We love McDonald's, but I don't know if it's a restaurant. So, the employee was opening the door so the father and his son could leave, and then the gunman just walked inside, opened fire. So his father ended up shooting back. The gunman died in exchange. The bullets struck the father and one of his sons, but their wounds were not life-threatening, thank goodness. So it worked out as good as it could. They weren't sure whether this guy was planning to rob the store or he was targeting an employee who worked there, so that's still in investigation. And I love how they always got to enter, and the police say that the father won't face charges. I hope not. He saved people's lives. So, another story where guns save lives. But of course, how would it have gone if that guy wasn't there to save the day with his gun? People are, well, if we didn't have guns, the criminal wouldn't have them. You're never under the imagination that you making guns illegal is going to keep every gun off the street. Are you crazy? If that was the case, there wouldn't be any illegal drugs on the street. They're there. They're there. Trust me, the guns would be there. They might cost more for the criminals to get, but they get them. And now they'd be more effective because there would be nobody there to defend themselves. So, Generation Z. Now, Generation Z, they're pretty much the people between age 15 and 21. Now, what are they going to do now after Generation Z? Is it going to be Generation AA? I don't know. But And they were saying that in a new survey, not only are they more politically activists or activism, but so that's what's giving them stress levels, supposedly. There's gun violence, sexual assault, but they were saying that they are reported the most mental health problems. About 56% of those in schools say they experience stress. When considering the possibility of school shootings, and school shootings are a top concern. So they say obviously that this group of young people have the most mental health problems and stress. Every generation has tons of problems and tons of stress. You think this life is stressful? What about you think you were going to be bombed every day? Back in the day, you had to huddle under your desk, right? They had the atomic bomb zones and all that stuff. When we were kids, we had to hide under desks. And when you think about it, like, what was the desk going to do? Yeah, if the bombs start coming in, your building's blown up, what's hiding under a desk going to do? So, every generation has had stress. I just don't think modern day they can handle it much. Because when you're sitting behind the video game and pressing buttons all day, you really don't know what life or stress is. And then you get out there and you have to deal with something and it's just too much, and then it's back to the video games. And of course, a lot of people create their own stress. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't know. To me, it's like not many situations are stressful because most of the time you can't. If you control it, you do. If you can't control stuff, then you don't. What's to be stressed for, If my boss were to come to me tomorrow and say, I need these 100 things done in 5 minutes, and it was humanly impossible, it wouldn't stress me. There's nothing I can do about it. It would annoy me, maybe, but it's not stress. I don't know. I think a lot of people get that confused. It is what it is. So they're saying that the number of United States born children who were given birthright citizenship, despite at least one of their parents being an illegal alien living in the country, now outnumbers 1 year of American births. Now, this has been a big topic recently in the news. You had Trump come out and say he wants to end birthright citizenship, and then Paul Ryan saying that he can't. Firstly, Paul Ryan loves illegals. We know this. All he cares about is the cheap labor. This guy's a fraud through and through. He's not a Republican at all. He's a Democrat who's somewhat fiscally conservative, but not really even, because you can't be that fiscally conservative when you want people in this country that we can't pay for. So, in essence, he's just a Democrat, just the way George Bush was. Firstly, we don't even need to change anything with the Constitution. Yes, Lindsey Graham wants to pass a bill to clarify. I have no problem with that. But we don't even need to change anything. Let's just start enforcing laws we have in the books. Firstly, if we make sure they don't get in the country, we don't have to worry about that. And moreover, everybody knows the intent of the law back in the day, when the Constitution was to let slaves, people that were slaves, become U.S. citizens. We owed them at least that, because this is where they were born. They lived here from their family on down. They should be citizens. That was what the intent of the law was. Everybody knows that. It had nothing to do with people coming here just to be born. And it makes no sense at all. It makes no sense how you can just reward somebody and say that because you were born here, you're a U.S. citizen. So if you're on vacation somewhere and your kid's born somewhere else, that means we don't let him back in the U.S. because he's not a U.S. citizen, he or she. It makes no sense. It's illogical. Like I said, makes no sense. It's just silly. And the fact of rewarding people for that. So, okay, So then the next time somebody does that, why don't we take the baby, kick them out of the country because they're not a legal citizen, and hey, this baby's a legal citizen, we'll keep them here. Does that make any sense? No. So in the first place, they're not a citizen just because they're born here. Just because you had medical treatment here, and that's what it is, a medical... Sorry. You're not a citizen. It just doesn't even make sense. But hopefully Trump does something like that. Lindsey Graham writes something and we'll reinforce it. And Paul Ryan can't leave soon enough. This guy's just a Democrat fraud. Sorry. Yesterday was the NFL trade deadline. And, well, I'm a Giants fan. And what happened yesterday? Our backup quarterback, who everybody wants to play, supposedly almost ran over police officers. I mean, what the heck, right? I don't understand what some of these teams are doing, especially, okay, so Amari Cooper going to the Cowboys, that was a few days beforehand. Good trade for the Raiders. Amari Cooper wasn't going to do much for them. You got rid of him, you got a #1 pick, first-round pick. That's good. I don't understand. The Packers, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm so angry. One, my coach is a moron. And two, just what are they doing? You have a team that has an offense that can win a Super Bowl. All you need is a defense. And really, a cover defense. That's it. Your coverage is poor. That's why teams get big plays off of you. You have a few guys that can rush the passes, but the biggest thing is your coverage in the back. And you're going to trade, Clinton Dix, one of your best cover guys. And I don't care that he's going to be a free agent. Who cares? He leaves. So what? You'll get somebody else. You'll sign him. Oh, we're getting compensation for nothing. You're in the midst of a playoff run, and you traded away one of your better players in your weakest area. Yeah, that makes sense. How? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm pissed off. I'm playing on one freaking leg trying to get a Super Bowl here, and you're trading away my defense? That makes no sense. And then the Lions. They have a shot at going to the playoffs, especially now that the Packers damaged their team. And what do the Lions do? They trade away Golden Tate. Again, it makes no sense. When they're top offensive weapons, they trade them away to an interconference team as well. Same thing like the Packers did. So now you've damaged your hopes for the playoffs. And your fan base, like, why are we going to games? Why are we buying tickets? I don't understand. I understand, like, the teams like the Giants or the Cardinals or the Raiders dumping players. They're not going anywhere. Get some draft picks, okay. But I don't understand this, especially after the Lions the other day went out and got Snacks from the Giants. I mean, Snacks Harrison, defensive lineman. They looked like they were bolstering up for a playoff run, the Lions, and now they go away and trade away one of their better offensive weapons. Makes no sense. Like, some of these GMs need to sign. Here's your sign. I'm stupid. I don't get the moves they make. It makes no sense, and that's why people, you don't know you're not a GM. Yeah, that's why these teams don't win anything. Sorry. Bullet shot into the GOP office, fully functional and lethal, right? But nobody's talking about that. They talk about the pipe bombs or this guy, Trump's fault, everything, because you can't make the bullets shot into the Florida GOP. From the anti-gun crowd shot bullets into the Florida GOP. We can't blame Trump for that, right? Now, I told you guys, watch a video of these caravans. Watch some of what you see. They're not women and children with cars. You see a lot of people that are war age, teenagers, or older than that, or at least 20s. The 20-year-old that wants to go to high school with your, 15-year-old daughter. You watch the violence that's happening. Look at the Mexican federales, the peaceful migrants, right? Somebody died because of the peace, right? You're seeing these people throw stuff at the border, climbing over fences, going past cops, pushing down walls, ripping down fences, destruction and damage everywhere. But we're supposed to let these people in because they say so. Sorry, we need to stand strong on that border. If you don't follow the rules, we don't want you here. Sorry, but why do we want people that demean our values? If we decided that, it's not really good to put people in jail anymore, and we're going to put them all in your neighborhood and let them run free. Is that what you want? And don't tell me, oh, these people aren't all. I understand they're not all. But so what? Not all people in jail are bad people. Sometimes their people made a mistake. Sometimes it was someone that was addicted to a drug and never hurt anybody else. It happens. But again, are you letting them in your neighborhood? Are you keeping them in your house? Are you going to be responsible for any damage they do to others? That's the real question. And it never gets answered by the always scared. Oh, they'll help them out with your money. No problem with that. They have no problem helping them out with your money. Why don't you help them out with your own money and your own safety and security? If you guys don't know, the Canadian Post is on strike, and they are doing rotating strikes, so city by city. They want to get paid more, of course. This is probably the third time in the last dozen years they've been on strike, from my remembering, because I mail a lot of stuff, part of my business. So, of course, striking in Canada. Speaking of government employees going rogue, porn-watching employees, yes, I said porn-watching employees, infected government networks with Russian malware. We got to get Russia in the story, of course, right? But the government ordered to trace malware infections back to porn-watching employees within, within our government. If you would, 9,000 adult video sites were watched by government employees. So Mark Meadows introduced legislation banning pornography at federal agencies 3 different times. Notice how the bill hasn't passed. This should be one of those no-brainer things. I don't know what porn has to do with anybody. Can any job description show me where it says watching porn is okay in the government? I mean, one, I'm sure you get a lot of people applying to that job. They probably do it for free. But, again, watching porn isn't okay. Why do we even need laws for that? These people should be getting fired. And this is why union jobs just, government, there should be no union in any government jobs. I'm sorry. It just shouldn't be. Should not be in any jobs. Now, Andrew Gillum, everybody knows who he is, I'd hope. So Andrew Gillum is, he's a candidate for Florida. And his brother supposedly vote for him under investigation. His brother doesn't even live in Florida. But yet, it shows that his brother voted by absentee ballot in the 2012 election, 2014, and 2016. Even though he's a resident of Chicago. So very interesting, right? But Gillum's also under investigation for other things. And supposedly more of his family members have voted for him. Gillum's under investigation because he took some tickets to a show. And so, like I said, Gillum is running for governor of Florida against DeSantis. DeSantis should win one. Not only is he a guy with results, but a decent guy. But like I said, Gillum's also under investigation for taking tickets to a show. But, you know, voter fraud, tickets to a show, you know, whatever, right? He's a typical Democrat. No big deal. Don't worry about what I did. The other people are no good. That's funny. So, what else do we have? Interesting stuff, right? It's weird. The FBI, you know, with the bomber, they wrapped up the probe pretty quick, couple of days. And it was done. Great work. You know, the whole, pretty much from head to toe, they got that, pictures of the guy everywhere, evidence, all this stuff wrapped up right away. And here we are still, over a year ago, and we still have no answers on the Las Vegas massacre. You know, I don't know. How do we not have any answers on that stuff? It's very interesting and telltale-ish. Still, no answers. What's it going to take to get answers out of that? And locally, right, we still don't have answers on statues that were disgraced while news camera crew was out. Right? I'm sure all our local people remember that at the Bowling Plaza. Still nothing. So this weekend, we have UFC 230 in New York. New York, right? Big UFC. Not a tremendously great card. Some decent fights. Obviously, a lot of problems getting a headliner for this one. There's been guys hurt and fights changed. But we're here to, you know, break it down, right? So, looking at the prelim fights, I don't see anything that's really interesting. I mean, you know, decent fighters and stuff. I guess the Sajara Eubanks fight against Roxanne Modafferi, I'm sure Eubanks is going to win that fight. But obviously, interesting that she's even on the prelim card, right? Because if you remember, Eubanks had a lot of, I don't know, she's mad at Joe Rogan, he said bad stuff about her. And then she had a lot of stuff. At one time, she was supposed to fight for the bill. It was supposed to be the main event at this UFC. And then that got switched up, you know. So she went from having a title fight to now she's on the prelim card. So interesting there. I think she's probably going to take it out on Roxanne, and I think she wins that fight pretty handily. That one's interesting on the prelim card. So on to the main card. You have the first fight is Israel Adesanya against Derek Brunson. Israel is 14-0. Derek Brunson is 18-6. Israel is definitely a knockout artist. Most of his fights are knockout. Brunson more knockout than anything, but he can submit you, and he's gone to decision a few times. That's at the 185-pound weight. Yeah, Israel has a 3-inch reach advantage, 1-inch leg advantage. He's more active punching. He lands more than Brunson does. He's quite accurate, over 50% accuracy, and he has a good defense, so he can keep the fight standing. But so can Brunson. Brunson has a really good takedown defense. So you have two guys. We're still trying to feel out Israel, and you know, kind of see what he's about. You know, I mean, he's a really creative guy. And for Brunson, he's been around longer in UFC. We know kind of his game. I mean, he's got speed. He does have power. He has heart. And I see this one as, one of the ones where Israel's stepping up to face. He's finally getting a guy. He just got into the top 10. And Brunson is ranked 6. I think it's one of those ones where you're going to say, if this guy can walk right through Brunson, he's going to show that he belongs in the top 5, maybe one more fight, and then he's getting close to that title. If Brunson can stop him, it's just maybe he's not ready yet, and at one point in his career, he can advance to that. But I think this is one where the guy who's been there longer, Brunson, is going to win this by unanimous decision. And, I see that early on. Of course, Israel will have his moments, but I think Brunson's smart enough, he's veteran enough to weather that storm, and he'll just start to wear on Israel, and the deeper it goes, the more the tide will turn for Brunson. I see Brunson by unanimous decision. That's where I have it going. It'll be a decent fight, nothing great, but, that's the outcome of that one. So, next fight is Jack Marshman, the Hammer. Funny, we've known there was another Hammer in the UFC a while back, right? Mark Hamill. So anyway, Jack Marshman versus Carl Robertson. He's called Baby K. Marshman 22-7 from South Wales. Robertson 6-1 from the U.S. Most of Marshman's fights are knockout, but he does throw in submissions, and sometimes he goes the distance. So these guys pretty much all, both of them are like that too. For Robinson, he knocks out people about a third of the time, submits them half the time. A few, decision every once in a while here and there. 185-pound weight class, same as the first one. Carl has a 1-inch reach advantage. Jack lands his strikes. He throws lots of strikes, and so they add up more. Carl is more accurate, but he throws less strikes. He has really good takedown defense, Carl. So, for Jack, I mean, he's, boxing, cardio, kind of an adorable guy. And for Carl, still pretty new at this, 7 fights. I mean, he's athletic. He has decent stand-up. The last fight for Marshman, he lost. He's basically 2-2 in the UFC. No big names that he's fought. He lost his last one by submission. Before he came to the UFC, and actually his first fight in the UFC he had won 7 in a row. So now he steps up to this competition, and it's, very different here. For Carl, he was 6-0. He'd come from the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, and he won there. Then he got to UFC, and he fought there last November, so almost a year ago, his first regular UFC card appearance. He won that one. He was 6-0, and then he lost his last one by submission to Cesar Ferreira. So that was in May, his first loss of his career. So, neither fighter, I don't know, impresses me. I don't know. I mean, just neither one's that impressive. I think Carl's going to win. You can tell he's more suited for the UFC, Marshman's kind of like one of these guys that's going to be there, be at the bottom of the card like he is now. You know, he's 28. He'll give you some heart and stuff, but I think Carl's got the skills, and we'll see more things, more growth from him to come. So I think he wins this by a second round TKO. And then he'll move up to some better competition, right, for his next fight. But neither one of these guys are ranked. So our next fight is David Branch, ranked number 7. Everyone knows Branch. He's been around for a long time. He's 21-4. And he's fighting Jared Cannonier. They used to call him the Killer Gorilla. He's 10-4. Big dude. A lot of knockout power. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of knockout power. I mean, more than half of his fights, he knocks somebody out in. He can submit you, and he's had fights go to decision. For Branch, he's more about submitting you and decisions. He doesn't have a lot of knockout powers. Same weight class, 185. So all three of them are right there. Reach advantage, Branch has a 4-inch reach advantage on him. Both these guys can be taken down. For Branch, he's 2-1 in the UFC. He was the World Series of Fighting light heavyweight and middleweight champ, and he decided to come to the UFC. Obviously more challenges. His last fight, he beat Thiago Santos, KO in the first round. That was a big win for him. Performance of the night as well. The fight before that, though, he lost to Luke Rockhold. So that was a round 2 loss. And Rockhold was a champ at one time, but he's nowhere near what he was. So, Branch has shown he belongs in the UFC, but is he title-worthy contention? No. For Cannonier, he's been fighting in the UFC for a while, like over 3 years. Not a big name here, but he's 3-4 in the UFC. The problem is he's lost his last 2. He's got KO'd his last fight. He lost to Dominic Reyes. So like I said, he lost to Glover Teixeira in February of 2017. So he's lost 3 out of his last 4 fights. He's kind of like one of those guys where you expect more. But it just, I don't know, it just doesn't come. I don't know why, but like you see this guy, I mean, he's in good shape, he's strong, and you're expecting more, and nothing ever happens. Kind of like the way Czech Congo was. I mean, he's like a miniature version of Czech Congo. I remember Czech Congo was strong, and he'd have some amazing fights. And I mean, Cannonier's just like boxing speed. He's got good footwork, and you expect more, and then it just doesn't happen. Sometimes he goes out there and lays egg, and that's the way Czech Congo was. And that's what I see from Cannonier. Branch has good movement, and this guy's a winner. I mean, I see Branch winning this fight. He's just going to wear on Cannonier. Cannonier is going to go for the fences early, and I see Branch winning this by unanimous decision. I think he can avoid the early power, use his skills. I mean, the guy's a winner. Like I said, Branch is a winner. I think he wins by unanimous decision. So in the co-main event, you have Jacare Souza against former champion Chris Weeman. So you have Jacare versus the All-American. Jacare from Brazil, 25-6. Chris Weeman from the U.S., 14-3. surprisingly, to know, Chris Weeman actually knocks people out 43% of the time, where Jacare only 28%. Jacare will submit you, though. A lot of times, I think when he punches you and wounds you, he doesn't go for the knockout. He actually just will submit you. It's more of his game. So he submits people over 50% of the time. Same weight class, 185. So, I mean, the 185 is on display fully at UFC 230. Reach advantage, 6 inches by Weeman. Leg reach, 1 inch by Weeman. Now, obviously, Weeman was an All-American wrestler, and Jacare has power and submission skills. For Jacare, he's started out in the UFC 5-0, and then he lost to Yoel Romero, which, quality opponent. But Jacare's lost 2 out of his last 3. He lost to Robert Whittaker. He lost to Kelvin Gastelum. He beat Derek Brunson, who was on the beginning of this card, as we spoke of. So is Jacare getting older? Is he slowing down? This guy's been fighting for a long time, Jacare. I mean, he fought in Strikeforce. He fought in Dream. He's black belt, won many black belt, world championships, first and second place. He's went to the, Jiu-Jitsu World Cups. I mean, he's a decorated Brazilian. So, he is 39 years old, I want to say. So it seems like he's slowed down a bit from his earlier days. That being said, he's always very dangerous. Now, Sosa was originally supposed to fight Branch, and then Sosa ended up replacing Rockhold because Rockhold got injured, because that was supposed to be the Rockhold-Chris Weeman fight that was a rematch, because obviously Rockhold took Weeman's belt. But obviously that fight got nixed again. So Weeman, we all know his career, got famous for knocking out Silva the first time when Silva was fooling around, and won the belt. And then the next time he fought Silva, Silva ended up breaking his leg in the beginning of the fight, second round. And then from there, he went on to defend the belt he defended his belt 4 times, well, 3 times successfully, and then he lost, like I said, to Luke Rockhold. So he was 13-0. He lost the belt to Rockhold. Then he came back, lost to Romero. Romero destroyed him with a flying knee. And then he lost to Mousasi, who's since moved on. And then he beat Gastelum. So you have Sosa, who lost to Gastelum, Weeman, who beat Gastelum. It was he won by a triangle choke. Weeman definitely is not the same guy he was when he first started. I think he got pretty cocky to me. I don't know. He wasn't, when he was winning, he caught Silva at the right time. He did what he needed to do. And then you saw he wasn't prepared for Rockhold, and definitely wasn't prepared for Romero. I mean, just like I said, he's not the same fighter he was. That being said, in this one, I see a 3rd round submission for Jacare Sosa. Just because I think Jacare knows this is his last chance to get a road to the title. Weeman, he's ranked 3rd. Sosa is ranked 5th. If he wants to get to this title, Weeman's the way to get there. Just beating Weeman gets him there. And of course, the same thing could be said for Wyman. He wins, he gets another title shot. But I don't even know how he's ranked number 3, to be honest. Like I said, I mean, the guy's lost, 3 out of his last 4 fights. Since he lost the title, he's lost 2 out of 3. So, he's not the same guy he was. I think Sosa is going to be ready for this fight, and he has too many tools. he doesn't mind being put on his back by Lehman's wrestling. Granted, he could survive that. And I think Sosa doesn't need to take Lehman down straight up. He'll find a way to hurt him with the boxing, and then he can go in for a submission. And so I see Sosa winning this fight, third round submission. And, so next fight, main event. Now, very interesting fight. You have number 2 ranked heavyweight, Derek Lewis, who came back from an unbelievable fight last time. He was losing and just kind of hit that grand slam. Losing in his last fight and knocked out his opponent. He beat Francis Ngannou before that in a stinker of a fight. He said he was sick, and I believe this guy definitely gives you excitement, Derek Lewis. You can't say he rips you off. But he's fighting a 2-division champ, the light heavyweight champ and the heavyweight champ, Daniel Cormier, who has to be ranked now as the best pound-per-pound fighter by far in the UFC. John Jones isn't eligible. Mighty Mouse just got traded, if you guys don't know, so I'll hold off on this bout for a minute. But Mighty Mouse, Demetrius Johnson, actually got traded. He got traded for Ben Askren, which it's sad to see Mighty Mouse go. Whatever, even if you didn't like him, the guy was a tremendous athlete. He was amazing, even though there wasn't that much excitement for his weight class, and kind of sometimes he hesitated to fight the other guys, which I think is what hurt his likability. He didn't want to step up and fight these guys in the other weight class after he destroyed everybody in his own. I think some of that, him taking more chances, would have made him more likable. But that being said, the guy is a good guy. Class act, tremendous. So it's sad to see him leave, but I understand he's going to be working with his buddies over there. But to see Ben Askren come here is good. It's good to shake things up. It'll be good to see Askren come in. Really good wrestler. He retired and hasn't fought in over a year, but he's still young. So it ought to be really interesting to see him get a chance to fight in the UFC and to see what he's all about. It's always hard to tell when you see guys from other organizations and they look good and they're beating people and they're doing what they're supposed to be. But then you come to the UFC, and a lot of times everybody's on your level here, or some of them are better. And then these guys struggle, and it seems like detrimental to their career. Whereas if they stayed in one other place, they might have been better off. So, hold on a minute while I eradicate something. Bugs, once the weather gets a little cool out here, they come running everywhere. So anyway, back to the main event. 5-round heavyweight title belt. Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, Daniel Cormier, DC. So Derek Lewis is 21-5. Daniel Cormier is 21-1, and we got to give him his due respect. He is a 2-weight class champion, stepping in for this fight to have a main event on this card, because he was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar, and he has obviously other options, at 205. But Cormier wins by decision. He could submit you. He can knock you out. Derek Lewis is pretty much all about the knockout. Derek Lewis is a weight advantage. He's 260. Cormier will be about 230-ish, around that range. Cormier, obviously, we know the wrestling, amazing. And Lewis, we obviously know the power, pretty amazing. So Lewis, he's been fighting in the UFC for quite a long time. I don't know if people know, but he's been here 4.5 years. So he has 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 fights in the UFC. He has 3 losses. A bunch of them were at the beginning of his UFC career. He lost to Matt Mitrione and Sean Jordan. But since that loss to Sean Jordan, which was over 3 years ago, he's been 9-1. The only loss was to Mark Hunt, who has tremendous power. Pretty similar fighter to Derek Lewis. They're guys No matter how much they're out of it, they can knock you out. But like I said, his last one was a come from behind win. He was losing that fight on the cards, and he knocked out the opponent with 11 seconds left. The one before that was against Francis Ngannou. That was a stinker. He said he was sick. I believe it. I mean, the guy usually fights way more competitive. But, pretty much knockouts, TKOs, KOs. That's his whole thing. And, of course, you have Daniel Cormier, right? Daniel Cormier, he technically hasn't lost in his last 7 fights. Obviously, the John Jones thing we know, which was changed to a no contest because Jones tested positive for, obviously he tested positive. So the only losses in his MMA career have been to John Jones, or one was a draw now, one was a loss. His last fight, he beat Stipe Miocic to win the heavyweight title. All right. And he obviously, he's fought guys like this before. Anthony Johnson, right? Odin was it Vulcan Ozdemir. These are guys that just punch and knock you out. He's handled them very well. Stipe had his moments, a few in that fight, but Stipe is a different guy. He hits differently. He can do multiple things. John Jones obviously is giving Cormier problems, but we know John Jones. If the guy would just get his head out of his ass, literally, the greatest MMA fighter there is. You can't really argue that. That's John Jones. So, those are the guys that give him problems. Guys that just punch hard, like the Roy Nelsons. Cormier has been smart enough to hug up on him, get him on the fence, stop their power. So, that being said, of course, Derek Lewis has a chance. No question about it. I think Derek Lewis has a lot more heart than some of these guys. He's been in really bad positions. He's not going to give up. He doesn't quit. The guy has amazing heart. But Cormier is just too smart for this fight. There's a lot on the line. He knows it. And, this is right now he's on legacy fights. He's got 2 more fights in his career before he wants to retire. He'll be 40 years old. Right here, this one, he wins this. He's 1 fight away from retiring with 2 titles. I see Cormier winning in a 4th round TKO. And I just think he's going to start to wear on Lewis. He's going to avoid those early shots, stay up on him, keep him on the cage, wear him down, get him tired, and start to take over the 3rd round. And Lewis is going to come back and hit him with a few good shots. He'll have his moments in the fight, but I think Cormier's still going to be at that point coming. The shots are going to be less powerful, wears him down, and Cormier wins this, retains the title, and then match will be on whether he's fighting Brock Lesnar or John Jones again. That'll be to be determined, I'm sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cormier wins this fight. That I think you have the John Jones Gustafsson fight. If Jones can come out and look good, if he looks good, remember last time from a long layoff, Jones looked pretty rusty. If he comes out and looks good, they got to find a way to make that fight. In addition to the Brock Lesnar fight, which is big money for the UFC, a John Jones Cormier 3 fight would be amazing. Even if it's Cormier's last fight, wow, it'd be amazing money for especially Cormier in that. So that's UFC 230 predictions. No title changes. Hopefully there's some good highlights in the card. Doesn't seem like a great card, but they did what they do to salvage it because obviously they got to load up for the next card, right? And you got to load up for the next card, right? Because you got UFC 231. So, got to to make stuff happen on that. Anyways, our time is up here on the reality check. So, you guys have a great week. Stay safe this Halloween. Keep those kids safe, more importantly, and enjoy your week.